via Slido, so look out for that. But right now, what I want you to do is put your hands together and give a very warm welcome to Vishal George.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Kia ora, ko Vishal tōku ingoa. I'm a behavioral scientist, and as a professional hazard, I'm going to flip the script a little bit. I'm going to be the one asking the questions, and you're going to be giving me some of the answers. How does that sound? Today's session, I'm going to explore some of the science-based tools to rewire our money beliefs, goals, and habits. But before I do that, I'd like to draw on some ancient practices. The practice which I'm most familiar with is the practice of pranayama. So if you love me, I'd like to invite you to breathe alongside me. Get comfortable, maybe relax your shoulders, drop back. And the practice involves, it's a very simple practice. It's called Bhrimari breath. Bhrimari in Sanskrit translates to a humming bee. So you can follow alongside me as I do this practice. So we're going to take a deep inhale with our nose, and exhale and make a humming sound like a bee. Nice. Another deep inhale. Long, slow, and exhale. And last deep inhale. Long, slow exhale. Beautiful. Thank you for breathing alongside me. I'm going to start with sharing my first relationship with money. I had written about many people's money stories. I had spoken to a lot of people and asked them about their early relationship with money. In doing so, I had realized that I hadn't spoken about my own relationship with money. And through meditation, I had got this early memory from my childhood when I was around 11 years old. And I was filthy rich when I was 11 years old. It's not your standard rags to riches story. This is a riches to rags story. I used to sell posters in school. I used to sell trump cards, fountain pens. I made so much money. I could buy everything which I ever wanted. As an 11-year-old, I had PlayStation games. There was nothing left in the world for me to buy. And one fine day, someone had shown up to the principal's office with their parent, and he had stolen money from his parent to buy some of my merchandise. And my entire operation got busted. And that memory from early childhood had left me with shame. And even today, when I think about making money, when I think about filing my expenses, I worked in a consultancy firm a few years back. Even filing my expenses, I would feel guilty filing my own expenses. I would feel shame to file my own expenses. And just through this practice, I connected with my early relationship with money. I don't think that means I want to change that emotional connection which I have with money. I think it's a very good guiding principle, and it's guided me strongly. And I think that's the shame which emerges from my early relationship with money. I see that as a strength for me to go out in the world and do good for community. I'd like to change things up a little bit. We're going to do what's called the Stroop task from psychology. And let's do this together. So we're going to read out the words from right to left. Let's do it as fast as we can. Try to keep up with me. If you could do it faster than me, go ahead. Let's begin. Yellow, blue, orange, black, red, green, purple, yellow, red, orange, green, blue, blue, red, purple, yellow, red, green. Easy peasy, right? Okay, now we're going to read out the colors from right to left. If I stop, go ahead without me. Green, red, blue, yellow, blue, black, red, green. Much, much harder. This is the Stroop task from psychology. The reason why I like to show the Stroop task is it demonstrates something about the brain, something very unique about the brain. There's what Daniel Kahneman, a behavioral scientist who passed away earlier this year, refers to as System 1 and System 2 thinking. And the second task involves some System 2 analytical thinking. It's much harder and much more effortful to do it. And the first task is automatic. It's easy for us to do. And with our financial services, our products, if we know from psychology, if we make something easy to do, we're more likely to do it. So the first part I'm going to explore is money beliefs. A 6-year career for NFL players, they make as much money as a US college graduate earns in an entire lifetime, in just 6 years. Professor Anna Maria Lusardi had done some research on what happens to these players when they retire from their 6-year, after their NFL career. And it turns out that 15% of NFL players go bankrupt. This is at a rate higher than the average males in the same age group. So more money doesn't necessarily translate to more wealth. In my book, I had explored the concept of mindsets. The book is called Money Mindsets. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with the growth mindset, as coined by Carol Dweck. There's also some fantastic research done by a research team led by Dr. Alia Crum. And what Alia Crum wanted to investigate was, can our mindsets influence our outcomes? So for their study, they had recruited hotel staff. They recruited 84 hotel staff who did not view the work they do as physical activity. And the researchers broke the hotel staff members into 2 groups. One group was told that the activity that they did every day as a result of just showing up to work counted towards the US Surgeon General's recommendation of daily exercise required per day. And the other group wasn't given this information. It turned out that first group felt these psychological benefits just by getting this information. I just need to show up to work, and that's my exercise done for the day. No gym required, no physical activity required. Just show up to work, my exercise is done. They started feeling good about this. Even more interestingly, what was found was that there were real physiological changes within their bodies. So their blood pressure levels went down. These other markers in their gut had changed. And just by viewing their work differently, it was able to change their physiological outcomes. And the same is true with the case of money. Our mindsets can influence our outcomes much more than we may believe. I'd like to explore the concept of asset framing, a term coined by Trabian Schatz. To understand asset framing, it may be more helpful to explore its evil cousin. Some of you may be familiar with it, deficit framing. If we think of people in the world, very few of us carry a label on our forehead, yet we quite often label people as low socioeconomic, we label people as marginalized. but people don't walk around the world with labels on their forehead. And when we do so, we become part of the problem, not the solution. The term asset framing is about viewing people through their aspirations, through their contributions to society, and yet acknowledging that they do have challenges. But we begin by defining people by their aspirations and their contributions. I'll just let that sit there. We spoke about nudging yesterday, and I've been waiting to see these words up on a big screen for a long, long time. It's something which I'm very passionate about, the difference between individual level nudges versus system level nudges. It's not helpful sometimes for us to tell people to cut down on their flat whites. It doesn't lead to behavior change. I'm sure we all know that. We love our flat whites too much. It's not a helpful nudge. Instead, we can focus on system level nudges. How can we change systems which make it easier and automatic for people to change their behaviors? And that's where we see the biggest difference from a science lens. An example of what a system level nudge looks like. Some of you may be struggling like me with devices at night. I look at my screen far too much at night, and a system level nudge, a behavioral innovation which I really like, is the mobile phone bed. So this is a bed invented by Aria Huffington, a team at Thrive Global. And essentially, you make a commitment as a whānau to put your mobile to sleep at night together. It's a joint commitment you make. There's social accountability. If your phone is not tucked away at night, your family members will see that. So you do this together as a team. Other examples in the space of financial well-being, of system-level nudges are there's spend as you save programs. So some of you may be familiar with ASB's work around the Save the Change program. Every time you spend $3.50, 50 cents gets rounded up and goes straight from your current account to your savings account. Similarly, we can have programs. These are system-level nudges where every time your paycheck comes in, 50% of the money can go directly from your current account to your savings account. And these are system-level nudges which can have a far, far bigger impact than telling someone to avoid a flat white or avocado toast. Okay, I'm going to shift to money goals, the famous dress. What color do you see? Do you see, how many of you in the room see black and blue when you see this dress? Around half of you. And how many of you see white and gold? Famo. Okay, I'm not here to tell you that the dress is black and blue, because it is black and blue. But what's really interesting with this is it's really surprising for us to see that someone else has a different response. And this went viral on social media. And the reason why it went viral is because our visual system very, very rarely lies to us. In this case, this dress, for some strange reason, it lies to us. There's more real estate dedicated in the brain for vision alone than every other sensory input combined. When we think of goal setting, vision can play a big way because vision is how we navigate the world. There's some amazing work done in some research done by Emily Balcertis in her lab. She started working with marathon runners. What she found out was that most elite runners had one common strategy. They would visualize where they would want to get to. So they would visualize the next lamppost if they were running towards a lamppost, and they would just move towards that. Their entire spotlight of attention would be directed towards the next lamppost. And when they reached there, they would shift their visual attention to the next milestone, the next lamppost. Emily Balcertis wanted to see, does this translate to everyday people? Is it just elite marathon runners? So she ran an experiment with everyday people, and she strapped weights to their ankles to give them a hard running task. And she trained some of them to visualize the finish line. And it turns out that this visualization strategy helped people to get to the finish line quicker. And they also reported that it was less effortful to get towards their goal, despite having ankle weights. Just visualizing the goal helped them get to the goal faster, and reporting less physical effort to get to their goal. The same applies to financial well-being. If we think of people's aspirations, what does good look like for people? Can we get people to visualize what good looks like? Is it a comfortable retirement in a farm? Is it a vacation with their whānau they haven't taken for a long time? If we want to motivate someone to change their behavior, we can start with vision. There's another strategy from vision we can use. One of the big dilemmas around vision and with goal setting is the difference between our current self and our future self. Some of you may be familiar with the research that we view our future selves as a completely different entity. We almost don't connect with our future self. So how do we use vision to get people to start thinking about their future self? I made a video about this. Dr. Andrew Huberman has spoken about it in his podcast. And this is around activating a magnocellular pathway, a long set of words to explain panoramic vision. So the way you activate panoramic vision is you can climb a hill, maybe go up a tall building, a skyscraper, or go to the moana, sit down, and look far into the horizon. And just doing so allows the body to relax, similar to the Brimari breath, which we did at the start of the practice. And it gives people the capacity, it gives people the tools to start really thinking about their long-term goals and their aspirations. So vision can play a big role in shaping our financial future. And when it comes to goal setting, it helps if people are stressed out, it's in a fight or flight state, it's very difficult to start thinking long-term. But if we sit down, take a minute to look far into the horizon, we can start thinking long-term. We all have the innate capacity to do this. Two mindsets for goal setting, why goals versus how goals. I might skip through this. Essentially, starting with why goals is more effective than how goals. I'll skip through this to spend some time on this piece of evidence. And this is around framing strategies. Prominent researchers, Hal Hirschfield, who had done work on the future self, and Shlomo Bernatzi, who's done some incredible work on retirement savings, tested out three framing strategies to get people to commit to an automatic savings program. And remember, when I said if we make it automatic, people are more likely to do it. Again, a systems level nudge. So they tested the three framing strategies. When you sign up to the program, you can save $150 a month, or you can save $35 a week, or you can save $5 a day. And people were randomly assigned to one of these three groups. And it turns out that if you were signed up to the $5 per day program, you are 4 times more likely to commit to an automatic savings program. Again, a very simple nudge. Not $5 a day is not an incredible amount. It's just your flat white. And in doing so, you're more likely to commit to a savings program, 400% more likely to commit to a savings program. A goal properly set is halfway achieved. Okay, here's my cue to ask for questions. So the question I have for you is, who or what event from your early childhood has shaped your relationship with money? So who or what event from your early childhood has shaped your relationship with money. In Slido, just pop in your name or name an organization, and I'll call you up to share your money story. So you don't have to type your answer. Just type in your name on Slido, and we'll pick a few. And I have some books to incentivize you to come up as well. They're limited edition books, not the ones over there. Nudge, nudge. Okay, our money habits, and this might be my last one, so I'll allow you time to pop in your name into Slido to call you out. So the final component of what I'm exploring is money habits. The story comes from work done by this idea that quite often our habits can be shaped through behavior change. Quite often there are forces in our environment which shape our behaviors. And there's the story of someone whose television broke, and she went to replace her television, and she decided to do so. When she went to the salesperson, the salesperson told her to upgrade to the latest smart TV, so she decided to make an upgrade. It's a one-time expense. It only happens once every 5 years, so I'll get the latest TV. The same week was her 10-year anniversary with her partner. A 10-year anniversary only comes once in a lifetime, so she decided to splurge a little bit and go on a vacation with her partner. Also, the next week, her favorite jazz band was playing in town, and her favorite jazz band only comes to her city once in a lifetime. So she decided to spend money on this. What you'll know from the story, the common thread is these one-time expenses, which we think are one-time expenses, quite often happen far more. They're far more likely to happen and far more likely to occur than we may believe. I might drop it out there to allow some space to hear some money stories. I will call out a few at random. I can see George pick me. I don't think I could deny George. Come up on stage.
So that's how you get a free book.
Have a seat.
All right.
I'm the one asking questions.
I thought I was just gonna quickly.
So I'll give you a minute, George. So the question is, who love it?
Matching.
Who or what event from your early childhood has shaped your relationship with money?
I think one of the most significant ones was when my dad lost his job. And so I had money in the bank, but obviously my mom who handles the money, she was watching over the account. And one day she goes, George, we need some money, so we're gonna get your Christmas money. And I didn't feel bad about it at all. I'm like, yeah, sure. But I think from then on, I had the mentality that I didn't have money. It was our money. And so it was never important for me to track or to, And so like when we go out or when we have big expenses, even now in my family, they'll pay for something, I'll pay for something, and then we won't really, the accounting is, oh no, you did that, all right, yeah, all right, that's fine. And it's not very specific. So that's one of the things, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing your story, George.
Thank you.
If you want access to that resource that's available, you can download a digital copy of that within the website link which I have, so everyone's a winner. There's also a bunch of tools. I spoke about system-level changes and designing behaviorally informed interventions. So there's a bunch of canvases which helps you design some of these behaviorally informed interventions with clients or people who you support to help them change their own behaviors. Cool. I'll open up space for another person. Paula at Good Shepherd, I'd love to have you on stage and ask you a question.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Paula. My question for you is, who or what event from your early childhood has shaped your relationship with money?
For me, it was a simple one. I didn't have too many money conversations when I was little. Probably something some people will relate to, putting your coins into that little baggie. So we got an ASB account when I was probably 6 or 7, and just regularly putting those coins in and seeing the balance grow.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing your story, Paula. Here's a book.
Thank you.
Beautiful story, and I know what we have seen from the research. We were talking about financial education for children. Those early impressions which we have can go a long way, and those early relationships which we form with money carries a long, long way into the future. So the earliest we start, the better. Chris, I'd love to have you on stage and ask you a question. That's Chris Fafui. And this was a similar process I had followed for the book. I had asked people to share their early relationship with money, and such beautiful, vulnerable stories, just like I heard today. And it's beautiful I think the learnings come from each other's stories. So I really appreciate everyone who's coming up and sharing their stories. Chris, do you know the question?
Yep.
Cool. I won't repeat the question. Let's hear about your early relationship with money.
So I put having the power go off when I was a kid. And that was me for a realization that my parents didn't always have money. And for me, it was like always thinking that I was going to do my best to make sure I did have money to support my family. So yeah, I was kind of embarrassed, couldn't bring people around because there was no power in the house.
Thank you for sharing your story, Chris. Cool. And a final story. I have just one copy of the book. Sasha, I'd love to have you on stage and hear your money story. Kia ora, Sasha. Your early relationship with money, tell me about it.
So my dad was a bus driver, and my mum worked in a pub. And my dad decided that he wanted to have a bus company. And one day, my granddad, who was a dairy farmer, he dropped dead. And my dad had to go milk the cows. And that meant that my dad's company went bankrupt. So we had to put like the little coins, you know, the really big like whiskey bottles that are in the pubs upside down. We had to empty that onto the dining room table and put it into little pound piles. But we didn't use that money to pay our own bills. We used it to pay my dad's employees and put them in little brown envelopes to try and pay the wages. Yeah, so that made me realise that life can change on a dime, literally. But for me, it's kind of meant that I'm always toggling between saving for the future and realising that the future might not happen. So we need to live now and for the future and trying to get that balance right.
Thank you for sharing your story, Sasha. Beautiful. We learned through the stories of each other far better than anyone. I was quite keen to not do questions because I know stories can go a long, long way to explore some of these insights. So I really appreciate everyone for sharing their stories and for you having me here today. Thank you.
Fantastic.